Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I create this look right here. I have had some requests to show how I create these winged out eyeshadow shapes, and I know I have done it in past videos before, but I don't think I've gone into my technique in depth on how I like pull the shadow out. So I'm going to cover that in this video just so you can learn a new technique if you don't know how I do it already. As always, all of the products I use in this tutorial will be listed in the description box down below. Before we get into the tutorial, please subscribe to my channel, join my little family, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as well. If you want to learn how I create this look, please keep on watching. So we're going to start off this eye look here with a base. So I'm just going to be using my P. Louise base in the shade 2, and I'm just taking that on a blank canvas F17 brush. Okay, so once your base is all done, it's even, you've got a good canvas to work from, we're going to jump into the Morphe and James Charles palette. And we're going to go straight into this burnt orange transition shade in the center. I'm just going to take that on a Morphe M514 brush, just a little blender guy here. And I'm just going to start packing that into the crease all the way along. Why do I always do this? I'm using a fucking ugly mirror. This is the nice mirror. Okay, so I'm just packing that in. I'm not worried about blending right now. I'm just picking up product, placing it in the crease. Okay, and once you've got this kind of shape here, you've packed on enough color, you can just take that same brush, just adding no extra product, and just use that to kind of soften the edges of this orangey shade. I'm just using small kind of circular motions. And then I'm slowly starting to pull that product out as well, so I can get that nice winged out shape. And somebody actually asked me how I create my like sort of winged out eyeshadow shapes, and this is how. So I just use really tiny circular motions, and I just really gradually pull the product out. So I've literally got nothing on my brush right now. I'm just working with what's already on my lid. And that's basically how I start to wing out the shadow. Obviously here I have cleaned it up a little bit just with a comp pad. I was holding my brush so weird then. I was literally like this. Like, who holds their brush like that? Not me. So now that we're finished with that shade, we're going to move on to the next shade. And I actually dipped into my Dose of Colors Desi X Katie Friend Cajun palette. This is like my go-to palette at the moment. I literally can't put it down. Every color in here I'm obsessed with. So I'm going to go in. That's my brush. So I'm just going to take a Zoeva 221 brush, just like a fluffy blender. I'm going to take this center shade right here. It's like a very neutral transition, and it's called Necessary. And I'm going to go just straight over the top of that orange. Gonna leave it like that for now, so it just kind of tones down the warmth of the orange, because I mainly just wanted to use the orange as like a very slight hue around the edge just to help the blend. So before I move on, I'm just going to take a clean brush as per usual and just go right around the edges, just make sure everything's really soft and there's no harsh lines. And this is also great for really pulling that shadow out at the corner, just to get it really nice and like into that nice point. Please ignore my hair, it's so fluffy. Once you're happy with that and you make sure that all of the edges are nice and soft and blended, then we can move on to the next shade. So sticking with the Dose of Colors palette, I'm going to take a Zoeva 224 brush and I'm going to dip into the shade Churro. This one right here. It's like a lovely warm medium brown. You know what really grinds my gears, gets my goat, if you will? It is like the shipping costs are insane. Like, I've ordered 2 things. It's standard shipping to the UK from the UK. And it's like £6. What? Does anybody else ever like fill their cart and it's like a lot of money and then they see the shipping cost and it's like £5? They're like, I can probably leave it. because that is me. Okay, so I'm just going back in with that Morphe M514 brush, and I literally just tapped my brush really lightly into that first orangey shade that we used, and I'm just using that to blend out the edges of this medium brown shade. And then I'm sticking with that medium brown shade, and I'm just going to start packing that onto this outer corner of the lid here, just so when we come to carve the lid out and apply the shadows, it just blends a little bit easier. So again, I'm going to take that brush, and I'm not adding any extra product now. I'm just going to start to really lightly pull that outer corner out with those really tiny circular motions. And I'm using hardly any pressure at all. I'm literally using the very tips of the bristles just to help wiggle that product around. And then I'm just going to go back in with my clean brush. And I'm just really using that to pull out that outer corner now. So I'm just going to keep going back in with that medium brown shade and just building up the crease. Get it nice and dark. Okay, so at this point, I know it's way darker on this side, but at this point I actually carved out the lid and just, you know, mapped everything out, and actually added the darkness after I'd done pretty much everything else. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my P. Louise base on my F17 blank canvas brush, and I'm just going to pack that onto my lid. And if you pack it onto your lid and then you kind of look straight forward and sort of tilt your head down a little bit, or just look up, it will actually print to where you need to cut to, basically. If you don't take it up as high as where that line goes to, then when you actually, you know, you're looking up, you've got your pigment on, that pigment is then going to transfer onto your crease. And I'm taking that right over. Okay, so once we have got this far and we've got the base just on here, I'm just going to take this pencil brush, it's got nothing on it, and I'm just going to use that just to blend right up here and this outer corner. Now I'm just going to take this brush, this is from Beauty Bay, and it's one of their brushes they've come out with, which are actually really nice. They're quite light, they're very cheap. This was like £2. Perfect for what I wanted them for. So I've got a lot of these like synthetic flat ones from them, just for like packing on pigments and like lid shades and things like this. And this one's called OG Shader. So I'm just going to go in with the white from the James Charles palette and just pack that over the lid, mainly on the kind of edge of the crease, just so we can make sure that's not going to print anywhere. So now that I've set the lid, just to stop it from creasing, obviously that is not going to be the finished colour on the lid. I'm going to dip back into the James Charles palette. I'm going to take this darkest green shade here, and I'm taking that on a Zoeva 231 brush, and I'm just going to pack that onto this outer corner here. And then when I've got less product on my brush, then I'm going to start taking it in slightly. And then from the same palette, I'm going to take the yellow, super bright yellow, this one, it's amazing. I'm just taking that on a Morphe M507 brush, and I'm just going to kind of overlap the edge. You don't really see the yellow too much once I pop the pigment on, but it just helps to blend the edge of that dark green out. So now we're at this stage, I'm going to go back in with Churro from the Dose of Colours palette and my 224 brush. And I'm just going to start packing that onto the outer corner and just helping to blend this shade here, and almost kind of overlapping it here as well diagonally, just to help that fade really nicely into the outer corner. So now I'm going to go into this shade right here. This is called Cheens. This is the darkest brown in the palette, and it's a really lovely, like super dark, rich, deep chocolate brown. And I'm just overlapping that again on this outer corner. Okay, so before we apply the pigment, I'm just going to take my Morphe E39 brush, and I'm just going to do my little trick of outlining where I've cut the crease, basically, just to make it pop a little bit more. I'm just using the darkest brown shade from the Dose of Colors palette. And then just to blend that line out, just so it's not so harsh, because right now it's looking pretty harsh, I'm just going to take a Zoeva 238 brush, which is just a tiny shader brush. And I'm just going to take this shade here that we use, Churro, the medium brown, and I'm just going to kind of go along the edge of where I've just outlined the crease and just diffuse that darkest brown shade. So now you can probably see it's kind of dirtied up the edge of where we cut the crease, and it's nowhere near as clean as it was before. So I'm just dipping my brush into where I've got the base on my hand, but I'm not dipping it into this like big like kind of ball of it. I'm just dipping it, just kind of like patting it over where I've like spread it out on my hand. So there's not a whole lot of product there. And I'm just gonna re-sketch the edge of this crease just to really clean up the line, and just makes it look really sharp. So it just cleans that line right up. And now we're ready to put the pigment on. So for the pigment, I'm going to be using Rattlesnake by Peaches and Cream. I'm going to try and show you this without tipping it all out. No! Fuck's sake. So this is the pigment. It's a green shift, but it also shifts to like a kind of reddy, rusty color. It's amazing. Like my life right now. And to kind of stick that on and make it really intense, I'm going to be using the glitter primer from NYX. I like this one for pigments because it's not as like liquidy as some glitter glues. It just has a really nice kind of like sticky texture. So I'm just going to apply this with another Beauty Bay brush. This one is called Shade Out, and this one's like a really small synthetic flat brush. So I'm just going to pick up some of the adhesive. I'm just going to apply that to the lid. And I am overlapping where I've put the green as well. And I'm going to dip straight into the pigment with the same brush. So to make this look even more winged out, kind of cat eye vibes, I have done this kind of elevated liner. So I've taken the liner from this corner of my eye and just elevated the line and then smoked it out with a shadow. So I'm just going to go in with my Illamasqua gel liner and just a small brush. So this is just a really tiny eyeliner brush. This is from High Definition. I'm just going to start sketching that along my lash line to begin with. I just want to make sure the roots of the lashes are really coated. And then once I'm happy and that's nice and opaque, I'm going to start by kind of looking at the other eye and just see where I want the liner to come up to. And I'm just going to drag it in like that. And then you can just start by joining up this line here. And kind of like, don't worry about this bit here because we're going to smoke that out with a black shadow anyway. So now what I'm going to do is take a different brush. I'm going to take this blank canvas E44 brush, just like a flat kind of, I don't know what you call these brushes. It's like a square flat brush. But I'm just going to use that with the black eyeshadow in the James Charles palette on the end. Very, very black. It's very good. Pick that up on the brush and I'm going to stamp that over the top of the eyeliner to make it super black and matte. And then I'm going to start overlapping the edge of this brush with the edge of where I've left the eyeliner, just to start smoking that out. And I'm also going to bring it above the liner here as well. Now I'm going to go back in with the brush that I used earlier, so this M506 brush. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of the black, really tap off the excess. You don't want it to be too overpowering when you start blending. And I'm just going to start blending that outer corner out. And then I'm just going to go back into that darkest brown shade, this one here, with the same brush. And I'm just going to use that. Then we're going to pick up my 224 brush. I'm not picking up any extra product at this point. I'm just using whatever's left over on the brush to help blend the edges of this. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a cotton pad with a bit of makeup remover, and I'm just going to just clean up under here a little bit. And then just to finish off the kind of eyeshadow, I'm going to add a tiny little bit of glitter. This one is by Helen E and it's called Confetti. It's like a really pretty kind of like chunky glitter. So to apply this, I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of the Helen E glitter glue adhesive. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to use the same brush that I used for the pigment. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the adhesive. I'm just focusing this mainly on the edge. Bit of that glitter, same brush again. So now that the top of the eyes is pretty much done, I'm just going to hop off camera, do my foundation and my brows because that hasn't changed in like ever. So I'm just going to do that and then I'll be right back to finish off the look. Okay, so I did my foundation, my concealer, powder, brows, and I put my mascara and lashes on off camera because you don't need to see me doing this. It takes me ages. So now we're just going to finish off the under eyes. I'm just going to basically repeat all of the steps that I did on top, underneath. Okay, I'm going to go in with my M506 brush from Morphe and the shade Churro out of the Dose of Colors palette. And I'm going to start by bringing this underneath the eye and working it right into the lashes as well. And I'm only going to take it to about there. I'm just going to leave this area free for now. And then I'm going to grab that 238 Zoeva brush, that little shader thing, and take that darkest brown shade. And I'm going to put this really close to the lash line and even work it like right in between the lashes as well. And then I'm just going to take this blank canvas E10 brush, just a very tiny little blender, and that burnt orange shade from the James Charles palette. And I'm really lightly just going to run that just along the edges. You don't want it to look super like you've put orange on the eye, you just want the edges to kind of soften and match the top. And then for this inner part here, I'm actually going to dip into the dark green and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that. And then just dipping into a tiny little bit of the yellow just to pop that right on the inner part here. Brighten up that green. And then just for the inner corner, I'm just going to add a little bit of the snake, I keep calling it snake bite, rattlesnake pigment, but this time I'm going to apply it without adhesive, so there's going to be nothing sticky underneath it, just something to catch the light. So I'm just going to apply some mascara to my bottom lashes, and I'm using the NYX Worth the Hype mascara. I'm really loving this one at the moment. It's really nice. So now all we've got left to do is to finish off the skin and then pop a lip on. So I'm just going to highlight my skin now with, I'm going to use the Doll Beauty Shine Bright highlighter. I'm going to apply that with my Backstage Beauty Large Eye Blender. I really like this one because it's very fluffy and because it's synthetic, just get like a really nice shine from it. A little bit more on the nose. You cannot have too much on the nose, I don't think. It's like a little beacon of hope. So now I'm just going to bronze with my usual bronzer, my Becca tobacco powder. Just using that on my usual brush, my little Kat Von D powder brush. Just going to hold the edges back. I'm just using the excess of whatever's left on the brush. I'm just taking down the sides of my nose, just snatch it in a little bit, and then I'll also use the excess just around the sides of my forehead. Because I've got like freshly bleached hair, so with my foundation, especially in this camera, I just look like all one colour. No hair, just all one, like an egg. And then for lips, I definitely want to do something glossy because my lips are hella dry. So I think I'm going to be using the Dose of Colors Desi XKT The Most Gloss from their most recent collection. But I think I might use the NYX Suede lipstick in the shade Fetish because this one's really nice. And I'm going to pair it with the NYX Suede lip line in Los Angeles. And I'd like you all to notice this is way warmer than what I'd usually go for a lip liner. I definitely go for something more brown usually. But I'm branching out and I actually really like this one. It's really nice. So I'm just going to apply this lipstick. And then I'm just going to apply the gloss over the top. And then we're just going to finish everything off and lock everything in with the iconic Prep Set Glow in Original. I'm just going to give it a nice spritz of this, and then I'm going to fan it dry. And that is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really loved creating this look, and this look is actually going to be my 1000th post on Instagram. That's crazy. 1000 pictures, pretty much of myself and everyone. Proud of that, kind of not proud of that. Not really sure how to feel about 1000 posts of myself on Instagram. So I hope you really like this tutorial. Please let me know in the comments down below if you try this look, and if you have any suggestions for videos that you want me to do, leave those down there too, because I always love to see suggestions, and it makes my life so much easier when I'm trying to think of stuff to do, because you just have like a million ideas and you just don't know which one to go with. All of the products I have used will be listed in the description box down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel and turn the notifications on as well. And also go follow me on Instagram. Everything is always linked down below, so you can go and check out those links as well and join my little internet family. I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.